But what we want to talk about today, the three of us, Michael and Eric and myself, got together, I guess about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we said, there's just not a place where, people from all the different parts of the business come together and really talk about how all of it works, in conjunction to help build up your business, right? One thing about real estate education is it's so incredibly fragmented, and not that that's a bad thing because there's so many different specialties, right? Whether you're doing, market evaluation, marketing, sales acquisitions, dispositions, and of course, there's a million ways to dispo your property, and then of course, transactions, that we wanted to come on here and see if we could help some people bring some cohesiveness into your business and help you out. So, one of the things that I talk about, and I'm just going to talk here for a second because I want to kick it over to these guys because I look up to both of them and they both do an amazing job for our industry, is scaling is not a solo sport. If you're looking to scale your business and you think you're going to do it by yourself, it is not going to happen, right? So I don't know how many of you guys have teams. If you want to throw in the chat, I'd love to see, who's working by themselves, who's looking to scale up, or who has a team. But here's the thing. I was asked on a podcast pretty recently, and it was, what was the thing that made the biggest difference in your business when you went and started wholesaling nationwide? And I've been doing this for 20 years. I was by far the biggest fish in our town here of Chattanooga for a long time, but enabled to scale up and to go wide and deep. I had to realize that I needed some people around me, right? We had to bring in some other people. We had to outsource some things. I could not possibly, drive to every city, put out bandit signs all over the country. I couldn't make every call. I couldn't sell every deal. I couldn't do all of the transactions. So the sooner that you realize that, and I get it, it's hard. We're all entrepreneurs. We all have a little touch of the narcissism, right? That we're the best and we are fucking great. We're all great at what we're good at, but we're not good at everything, are we, Eric? Right?
No.
I know you're fucking amazing at what you do, but I can't do everything. It's impossible. And I'm not good at everything, but the things I am good at, that's where I want to make sure that I am spending my time. I don't want to learn TCPA compliance. I don't want to learn how to build a freaking texting, platform, right? I want to go to the people who are the best in the industry. I'm really good at selling properties and doing marketing, and I've been doing this for a long time, but I'm not the best fucking acquisitions person, but I know who is. And he's sitting here on the screen to my left, the best in the fucking industry. And I'm telling you guys, I've been doing this 20 years and seeing every single speaker on stage. By far, without a doubt, these two guys are the best at what they do. So that was why I wanted to, make sure that we brought them on. But again, scaling is not a solo sport. There are only 24 hours in a day. That's a scientific, that's a math fact, right? 24 hours, no more, no less. We've all got the same amount of time. So what is the difference between Eric Klein's company, who's going to do 400,000 or 500,000 this month, and those of you that are doing one deal? What's the difference? He's figured out how to build a team and how to use the best resources to build his company, right? So that he can, live in his, just the place of excellence, which is getting on the phone and teaching his team how to lock up deals. Right? He's got a great dispositions manager that handles that. He's got good marketing. So, one person cannot do everything. So if you're trying to do it all, I promise you, you're going to cap out at 3, maybe 4 deals a month at best, and you're going to hate your fucking life because you're so busy. So anyways, this is a conversation. None of us are bringing up PowerPoints. We're just here to try to help you guys out. So we're just going to chat for a little bit. At the end, we'll do a lot of questions. So as we're going, make sure you're putting your questions into the chat box so that we can come back at the end and make sure we get every person's question answered. Cool. So who we've got? We got. Oh, I'm gonna mess it up again. We have Michael from Launch Control.
We can just leave it at that. That's fine.
Yeah, man, I just hate butchering people's names because I hate when people do it to me. But Michael's with Launch Control. You guys, I know you all know who Launch Control is. They're probably the single biggest leader in SMS texting. And, somebody made a comment here a little earlier that, yes, the texting business is in a little bit of flux, right? There are some people who have abused the idea of doing SMS messages, and Launch Control has managed to, maintain deliverability. And we're going to have him talk to us all about that and how they can, you know, or at least, and you don't have to use them, but they'll tell you about SMS and why, you know, it's so successful and it still works, man. I'll be honest with you, I would rather get a text message than a call every day of the week. So it's really, especially if you're getting started, it's a low cost way to really blast out and get in front of a lot of people. But he's going to come on and talk to us here in a minute. But first, my man, Eric Klein. Guys, I can't tell you, first of all, you know, I think the world of Eric, his wife, his partner, his son, who's awesome. My boy, I love to go to have dinner with him. But seriously, guys, you know, I can't overstate this enough. I'm sure you guys know him. Most of you are probably here just to see him. But by far the best sales training that I've ever seen in this industry. I started this in 2002 when most of you guys were still in elementary school and, you know, have been around for a long time. You know, my wholesale company, I paid him more money than most of you will ever pay him to train my sales team, right? My acquisitions team, because I just believe in it so much. Yeah, I can't overstate that, how good, you know, of a job Eric does. And this is a guy that's been in the industry two years now, maybe 3 years. And I'll let him tell you real quick his story. But, you know, I would get your pens and paper out and start taking some fucking notes because this guy is going to drop some bombs here. So go ahead, Eric.
I appreciate you so much, David. Thank you so much. It's crazy because like, and Michael B, for being Michael B for being on here. It's still crazy to hear 13, almost 14 years ago. The crazy thing is people didn't used to talk nice about me. Like I was a complete dirtbag, scumbag, lost in the world and just not a productive member of society. And over the course of 14 years of getting my shit together, putting the crack pipe down and picking a phone up and truly like going all in on sales and just being consistent with this. David, thank you so much for the kind words. I think highly of you. And yeah, I'm glad to be able to call you a friend. So with all of that being said, I just want real quick for the people that are on here, because I look at these numbers and like if you're comfortable doing those numbers, by all means, keep doing it, right? You can be stuck at 2 to 3 deals as long as you want. But if you get this through your fucking head right here, what I'm about to tell you is the wholesaling industry is alive and fucking well right now. And it's breathing heavily for the people that want to take advantage of the tsunami of deals that are out there. The market shifted a little bit. People freaked the fuck out that didn't have systems and processes in place. They jumped ship and it allowed people that had systems and processes in place to come and scoop up all these deals that they have abandoned. So just real quick on some numbers. I've only been in this industry for a little over 24 months. So just over 2 years, literally. I didn't know shit about real estate. I've never flipped a home. I've never had rental properties, nothing. I came into this industry super green on real estate. And in a very short period of time, I'll give you my numbers in just over 2 years because I'm looking at my CRM and these are real numbers. I have no reason to sit up here and lie to anybody about what we've been able to accomplish in 24 months. So we've been able to close and fund on 234 contracts for just shy of $4.7 million. 4.7 million. It's just over 24 months in the space. Right now in our pipeline, we have closing in the next 30 days. Now, mind you, this month alone, we'll close on 432,000. In the next 30 days, we have 412,957 closing. Do the fucking math. In 60 days, that's almost $1 million. Those are 100% assignment fees that were generated by our office, leads generated by our team, dispoed by our team. We didn't JV a single deal to add to that number. We are doing that with just about 3.5 closers on the phones, mind you. 3.5. I see Andrew asking, or Andre asking, how many closers? I have 5 closers on the phones right now, 3 of them experienced, 2 of them in training. So you don't have to have a massive army in order to produce deals in this space. Right now in our pipeline, we have $2.5 million in deals. We have 412,000 going to close and fund over the next 30 days. In our disposition pipeline, we have 39 contracts for almost 1.4 million. And then in newly contracted, where it hasn't even made it over to dispo yet, we have 23 contracts for 705 projected profit. Now, mind you, those are projected profit numbers. And I hear a lot of people say that projected profit doesn't mean anything. Yes, it does mean something. In order to get a good realized profit number, you have to have a big projected profit number. So I'm a firm believer in our office. This is the model we live by. When in doubt, lock that motherfucker up, because we have nothing to lose and everything to gain. When in doubt, lock it up. So coming into the wholesaling space, how was I and my team able to do the amount of numbers that we've done in the very short amount of time without understanding real estate? I never once came into wholesaling saying I was getting into the real estate game. I came in here day one and said, I'm getting into another sales and marketing model. It's purely sales and marketing. So I came in here with almost 12 years worth of experience locking different products and services up over the phone, but I was using the same sales process for those 12 years. So when I came into wholesaling, I took my experience and my knowledge from my last business I had, I brought it into wholesaling. And a lot of people ask me, Eric, how was it getting your first deal? I don't remember my first deal. It wasn't special to me. I got a contract, locked it up, and I moved on to another deal. Like, it's pure transactions for me. So what I want to be able to do here today is help anybody that's on here. And I don't know how much time I personally have. So I'm going to do an elevator pitch on my 5-step sales process. So if you are on your phone right now, you got distraction, this is what I want you to do. Put your fucking phone away, close all the tabs on your computers, dial the fuck in, because if you are doing 2 to 3 deals a month right now and you haven't been able to break through, I know why you can't. You don't have a sales process that's duplicatable and scalable. So I'm going to real quick go through my 5-step sales process for you. So, and here's a couple KPIs that I live and die by in my office. Write this down. You have to make a minimum of 60 to 70 phone calls every single day. What is a phone call? It's dialing a number and letting that phone ring 3 times, and then you hang up. That is considered a dial in my office. So you got to make at least 60 to 70 of those every single day. Why do I focus on dials? You'll never get contracts. Let me turn my camera on. You'll never get contracts without making contacts. You will not get a contract without making contacts. And then you have to have your talk time. Your talk time needs to be between 3.5 to 4 hours every single day without fail. So people that aren't able to hit that are probably not getting the amount of contracts that we get. And the reason is you will not get somebody to like you, trust you, and want to do business with you without having a quality conversation. There's no reason to speak to an offer, get to a number, and then negotiate with a stranger. Closing a deal should be the easiest part of your entire conversation because you've done everything prior to giving an offer right. And then the last, but definitely not least, is you need to make between 3 to 5 offers every single day. What is an offer in our office? An offer is a number you're willing to put into a contract and put your signature on. So it's not an offer range. It is an actual offer, again, that you're willing to put into a contract and put your signature on, that you're confident you can go to the closing table with. So I'm going to recap the KPIs real quick. And if you live and die by just the KPIs, you should fall into more deals than 2 to 3 a month.
Yeah.
So you're going to get 60 to 70 dials. You're going to get 3.5 to 4 hours of talk time. And you will absolutely make 3 to 5 offers every single day without fail. Now, requirements from somebody that just starts in our office. They go through training. We put them on the phones. Within their first 30 days of hitting the phones, they have to lock up 5 contracts. They have to. It's an absolute must, because I know our systems and processes in our training and our lead flow requires it. It calls for that. And I'm confident enough in my training and my script that if you follow it, you'll get a minimum of 5 contracts by following everything that we do here. All right. So the 5-step sales process is, write it down. Number 1 is intro. Number 2 is fact find. Number 3 is going to be your pitch. That's where you talk about the house. Number 4 is going to be your offer. Number 5 is going to be the close. If you do everything right, I want to remind you, number 5, your close should be the easiest part of the entire transaction, my friends, because you have somebody that stuck through an entire sales process with you. If they didn't like what you had to say or what you were on the phone talking about, they would have hung up. The beautiful thing I love about phone sales, it's really easy for someone to click the little red button and end the conversation. So as long as they haven't clicked the little red button, they're interested in what you're saying, and it's your job to keep their attention. All right. So on step 1 is intro. You want to set very clear expectations to what's going to happen on the phone call. You want to introduce yourself. You want to understand who you are talking to. You want to get them engaged and take control of the phone call. So I would say, hey, Kevin, this is Eric with TLC Home Buyers. How are you doing today? Great. I see here that your property was referred to us. Robert is requesting a recording to this meeting. It is, hey, Kevin, this is Eric calling with TLC Home Buyers. How are you doing today? Great. The point of the phone call, I see your property was referred to us by Home Finders Network, and they said you were looking to sell your property because you were done being a landlord, correct? All of our leads are generated from a cold call or PPC. So I don't cold call here in my office. They're all inbound calls. So I don't want to ask to speak to Kevin. I'm going to assume Kevin is the one that answered the phone. Cool? Because I don't want to give him a way out. And if you say, hey, Kevin, he's like, oh, shit, yeah, that is me. It doesn't give them a out. After I say your property was referred to us by Home Finders Network, I see that you were looking to sell. I'm going to say, what I'd like to be able to do on today's call is see whether or not we can get your property approved to be put into our portfolio. Mind you, I said approved to be put into our portfolio. So my entire pitch is qualifying whether or not this property will be accepted or denied. So by the end of the call, Mr. Seller, one of 2 things is going to happen. I'm either going to have an approval with an offer or a denial with a reason. Why do I do that? People want what they can't have. We are separating ourselves from the competition. Everyone out there, how often do you hear you call a homeowner and they say, I get calls like this all the time. The market's hot. Well, we, for the first time ever, are calling a homeowner and saying, you know what? We might not want your motherfucking property. And they're like, wait a second. I haven't heard this before. You don't want my property? Everyone says my shit's the hottest one on the block. So we're just being different. It's being different, doing what your competition isn't willing to do. Think outside of the box. After you have addressed who they are, who you are, the reason for the phone call, you've set very clear expectations. You are now going to have them get engaged and take control. Grab a pen and paper, Mr. Seller. I want you to jot down some information I know you're going to want to have as we go throughout the phone call. I'm going to let them know who I am, the name of my company. I'm going to give them my website. If you don't have one, it's completely okay. And then I'm going to give them my phone number. After I give them my phone number, what am I going to do? I'm going to ask that person, go ahead and repeat that number so I know you have it right. I want to see if they're actually writing the information down. Do I have their attention? Are they engaged? Are they doing what I'm asking them to do? Have I really taken control of this phone call? And I'll know, because if they can't repeat the number, they were just yesing me to death. Yeah. If they can repeat the phone number, I know they're engaged. Some of you are probably thinking, well, Eric, what happens if they don't write the fucking number down? You just say, and again, your delivery is everything. I'd be like, hey, John, can you repeat the number just so I know you have it right? 919-23. John, are you even writing this down? Come on now, John. Grab a pen and a paper real quick. Your delivery is everything. So if I find somebody that's not writing it down, the last thing I'm going to say is, John, are you even writing this down? The delivery, right? I said the same thing, but it meant two different things, right? I said the same thing, meant two different things. After you jot it down, again, you're going to set the expectation that if you stick with me on this call, at the very end of it, I'm going to tell you one of two things. My underwriters in the back are going to look at the property and they're going to tell us, Mr. Seller, whether or not the property was approved. So now I've positioned myself as the guy that's going to help the seller against the number crunchers in the back. So I am never the decision maker throughout this entire phone call. Even as the owner of the company, the CEO, right? I never tell people I'm the owner or I'm a CEO or anything like that. I'm always just an acquisitions manager. All right. That's step one is the intro. The intro. Step two is fact finding. How much time do I got, Dave?
Maybe we can go 5 to 10 minutes.
All right, cool. I'm not going to get through all the 5 steps. If y'all want the rest of what I can't get through, y'all going to have to come to me. All right. So we have number 2. Step 2 is the why. Why the hell does this seller keep answering the phone and having conversations with people like us? Why? Why haven't they fucking disconnected their number, got a new one, and moved on with life? Because the way we abuse these sellers, that's the hardest part about my job, is when the 100 people before me give them a call and completely demolish the conversation, say they're going to give an offer, never call them back. And by the time I get there, I'm now the bad guy, right? So when they answer the phone, they're as skeptical as it can get from Jump Street. It's your job to lower their skepticism and let them know you got a buyer on the phone that might be different this time. It's your job to do that. So on step 2, which is the fact finding, I know, let's say Mr. Seller doesn't want to be a landlord, going through a divorce, wants to downsize, wants to sell because the market's hot. That is a reason for somebody to want to sell. The market is hot. Don't take that as it's a bad lead just because they say they want to sell because the market's hot. Once you make an offer, that will let you know whether or not your numbers make sense. So when someone says, I don't want to be a landlord, what you don't want to do is just say, hey, Mr. Seller, I see you're looking to sell your property because it says here in the notes you don't want to be a landlord anymore. Is that accurate? Yeah, that is. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to talk about the property and we're going to see what type of a condition it's in. That's what you don't want to do. All right. You don't want to do that. What you want to do is figure out why Mr. Seller, homeowner, is selling a rental property he bought as an investment. And for whatever reason now, he wants to bail on that investment. That's what you really need to find out. So what I like to do is I like to use third-party stories. And you should have a third-party story for any situation. Whether it's I'm going through a divorce, I want to downsize, I want to be closer to my grandkids, I'm done being a landlord. Whatever the case is, you should script out or have memorized a third-party story for any situation of why somebody wants to sell. So when I hear somebody say, I do not want to be a landlord, my go-to every time is, that's weird. The last 3 properties that I've had approved were from people that didn't want to be a landlord. It's crazy. The one that really sticks out to me, Mr. Seller, is this lady. She had been a landlord for 25 years, literally 25 years. She had an amazing run. And for the last 5 years, her granddaughter has been the tenant in her property. She broke the golden rule. You don't rent to family members or friends. And her granddaughter's been in there for 5 years. So it's wedged, it's put a wedge in between her and her granddaughter. She's not getting market rent. She feels like she's being taken advantage of. So what she was able to do is just go directly to her granddaughter and say, honey, somebody's buying the house. It was an easy way for her to get her granddaughter out. But more importantly, the money she was able to get from the property paid off $25,000 in credit card debt that she had been saddled with for years. So I understand you say you don't want to be a landlord, Mr. Seller, but why? And I shut up. I let the person think. Rather than skim right by the fact he's telling you I don't want to be a landlord, go dig deeper. So what did I do with my third-party story? I let the homeowner know I've dealt with a situation like this. I've actually helped a woman out, multiple people out of that same situation. And then I attached the money they got to a problem they solved. So that's the power of a third-party story. It's much better than just saying, I see you don't want to be a landlord, John. Why? Why don't you want to be a landlord? I hear that all the time. Your delivery is everything. So after you do that, step 2, which is fact finding, never stops. That step 2, you take with you all the way to the close. After they sign the contract, you still take it all the way to the closing table. You never stop digging. Once they've signed the contract, that's when you need to keep them really tight. I don't want to take up all of the time here. I just went through 2 steps. There's 3 more to go, but we're going to do a Q&A at the end of this, and I'll answer any questions that you may have. Listen, if you're struggling in wholesaling, you have a broken sales process, I don't give a shit what anybody says. More than likely, that's your number 1 weak point in your business model is the sales process and how you treat the leads that are being served up to you. So I appreciate everybody on here. I'm going to cut it off at step 2. We were getting ready to go into the pitch, but take it away, Dave.
Man, I appreciate that. And you guys, it's interesting. I'm watching you guys and some people are paying attention. Some people are spinning in their chair. Guys, if your business isn't where it needs to be and you're not paying attention, then I really don't know. I don't have anything for you because, again, Eric is the best in the fucking industry at this. And, he just dropped some major bombs on us there on how to get that acquisitions process, that sales process going. And I'll talk a little bit about dispo sales at the end, but just while we're hot on it, the biggest problem that we always see on the transactions and the acquisition side is people doing a shitty job in acquisitions and not asking all of the right questions. And that's why things fall apart. But we all want to have a full pipeline, right? We all want, just 100 leads a day or as many leads as we can possibly have. And that's how we scale up. But leads just don't fucking magically appear in your email box. So this is why we wanted to have Michael on here. He's been with Launch Control since pretty much its inception. And I really wanted to get him in here because texting is, I spend a lot of money on PPC every month, tens of thousands of dollars, but not everybody has the ability to do that. When I started out, if this was what broke was, I was fucking half a broke, right? We didn't even have enough money to be considered broke. And we needed to find a cost-effective way to do that marketing. And now, I can't think of anything that can reach a mass scale quicker than texting. And that's why we wanted to have Michael on here so that we can fill your pipeline so that you can use Eric's process and get these things under contract. So Michael, tell us about Launch, brother.
Hey guys, yeah. So look, I'll get into Launch, I'll get into SMS, but the thing that I want to say is that everything you do in marketing, whether it's through SMS, direct mail pieces, PPC, whatever it is that you're doing, everything should be in service of Eric's sales system or your sales system. Right? Like it's how are we doing this to speed up that 5-step process or to get people into that 5-step process? Because like what he said, I think it was, if I got this right, I think it was intro, set expectations, pitch, offer, close, right? Okay. So let's just take text just as an example, right? So yes, you cold call everybody, right? And when they get that call, you have to get past to even get to the point of intro and expectations. You have to get past the hump of the unexpectedness of that call, right? But if you're sending them out text messages and you're able to set expectations at a certain level to warm up that relationship through a text message, then you push it to a call and you can jump straight to pitch, right? Pitch, offer, close, because you were able to set expectations. They knew who you were, they knew what you wanted to talk about in following Eric's model to see whether or not their property is even going to be a good fit for their system or not, or a good fit for their company or not. You can set that expectation before you've ever picked up the phone. And then when you pick up the phone, you're in it. They know who you are. They know what's coming. They're ready to talk. You've already differentiated yourself from the others that are saying, hey, Andrew, you on 57 Green Street, right? How about a cash offer? Like they haven't heard that before, right? Like they're getting that. So if you can stand out from the crowd, break through the white noise, and get to that point of intro and setting of expectations through a text, which people read text messages at a 98% clip. They might not always respond, but they always read it. So they saw that message. So if you got them to raise their hand and respond, you have an open conversation. It's where you take that conversation that matters. So what I see people doing as a mistake is they think of marketing in silence, right? They think, well, I'm a cold caller, or I'm a texter, or I'm in direct mail pieces. No, you're not. Everything that you do, you are in the conversation with homeowners business. You are in the sales funnel business, and you need to get that sales funnel full in any way that you can. I use this expression with my staff a lot. What is the shortest distance between point A and point B? That's what you want, right? So when you're taking, let's call it what it is, data, right? When you're downloading data from whatever site that you're using to pull your data, those aren't leads. Those are names and addresses that fit a certain filtering profile. They're not a lead until you either call them, intro and set expectations so that you can get to pitch, or warm it up via a text and do the exact same thing. Stand out from the crowd, get that intro and get those expectations in, and then pick up the phone. Like, this has been my joke since day one. I wouldn't sell someone a used bicycle just over a text, but I'd have a conversation about a used bicycle if they started it with the text, right? So you're not using launch control to start and close your deals. You're using launch control to fill your funnel. You're using launch control so that every single day you can send out a batch of texts, start active conversations, and then using your own skill set and the features within the app, judge which of those that you can push directly to a call so that you can get into that, what was it, 3 to 5 offers per day, Eric? So you can get to that 3 to 5 offers per day number. Like, if you can send out 2 batches a day through launch, which you could do at the lowest package level, and you can activate 15 really conversations that you could potentially push to a phone call, you'll hit that 3 to 5 number, right? It's just, again, shortest distance between point A and point B. How can you get into that active conversation, real sales funnel approach? If you really listen, like what I heard when Eric talked made me smile in the beginning, is people that are in the beginning, they don't have a sales funnel yet, they know the lead, right? They know, oh, David Olds, he lives at X address. I gotta see if I can get him on the phone. And all their hopes are kind of pinned to that 1 or 2 leads that they want to close, right? You know what Eric said? He's like, I don't even remember the number, but he knows the number in his pipeline, not the names of all those people, because he knows that if he has X number of people in the pipeline, he's going to be able to close a certain dollar value in business. And he's going to be able to do that every single month. If he keeps a certain number of people in that pipeline, the output will be a very predictable and scaling up amount of money, right? So when we talk about like SMS engagement, and I'll get into a little bit of the best practices with you guys in case you're already doing this and you want to know. But what I really want you to think about when you think about text is how it can serve your business model, right? Because you are not in the business of getting a deal. You are in the business of building an actual investment business based off of a sales funnel that you can go take a vacation and make hundreds of thousands of dollars while you were gone because the systems were in place, right? And you can't do that without systems. So if you think of, for instance, like you get to the point where David's at, and how much did you say that you were spending on POC or PPC?
Oh, yeah, over 20,000. Yeah.
Okay, over 20K, right? Okay, so you get up to the point you got enough money coming in to do that, right? And you're getting leads coming in. These are great leads. These are people that are coming to you, right? So you can very quickly get to expectations, pitch, and get them to that offer stage, right?
Yep.
But not everyone's going to close. Like, I don't care if you are the best salesperson in the world, you're not going to close every single one of those leads that came to you, right? But you have their number and you know that they're interested, you know that they're engaged. And if they're not picking up the phone when you call, you know what might work? Text message, right? So you take these other channels that you're using and you open that conversation in any way you possibly can. And a lot of times SMS engagement is going to be a way to do that. So even if you gathered that lead and started that discovery call conversation through a different channel, you can bring it home with SMS, or at least reheat it to the point that you can get them back on the phone and get to the point where you're making an offer and closing that deal. But you should be thinking of it in terms always in service of your sales funnel and how you can open conversations. Because without a conversation, there is no deal, right? If you can't take them through David's steps, you can't close the deal. But if you can get them to engage, then all you have to do is follow the formula and you've got it, right? Okay, let me pause for a second and because that was a lot. So I just want to make sure that you guys have a chance to ask any quick questions, and then I'll get into some basic engagement stuff and then let David take it.
Yeah, and I'm going to jump in, Michael, for one quick second. So we do a lot of PPC, but we also do some direct mail and a bunch of texting. What I love about texting is it allows me to pull a list and be extremely targeted. Like I can pull a list all the way down to the sub-4 zip code and only pull 1,000 square foot houses with 2 bedrooms in this area that have been owned for this long, that are, built within this time period and have this many square foot, right? So I can be very targeted, like a laser from outer space, where PPC does not give me that advantage. So, I absolutely love texting. We've sent millions and millions of texts over the years. So I just didn't want anybody to think that we only do PPC. You should definitely have, a multi-pronged approach.
Thank you. Yeah. And look, everybody that gets to a certain size, like anybody that's at like what we would classify as an enterprise level account, they're doing everything. Like they're texting, they've got a separate just cold call division, they're doing direct mail pieces, they're doing PPC, they're generating those conversations in any way that they can. And they've got enough money coming in that the marketing output is nothing compared to what they're bringing in monthly, right? You can't do that out of the gate. Out of the gate, SMS is going to be your best bet. It's definitely the cheapest way to do that. Again, as long as you have a very focused approach that's based on getting people on the phone so you can run through a system. It is if you just text and throw it out into the ether, you're going to get nothing out of it. So what launch control has always done, always preached, and what is just now becoming what is very apparent in the industry isn't changing. It's just growing up. That's all. Like what happened a few years ago, and I hate this phrase. You will hear me say this on probably multiple podcasts if you ever catch me on another podcast. Text blasting. Don't do it. Don't say it. Forget it ever existed. That was the problem, is that people took such an impersonal approach to it. They downloaded tens of thousands of names, spent God knows what on skip tracing, sent out a single text, and unless the person said, oh, please buy my house, I just don't know what I'm going to do if I don't get rid of this house by Thursday, they were like, no leads. All right, so then they went and downloaded more data and spent more on skip tracing and just blast. And unless the lowest of the low-hanging fruit fell to the floor, didn't do anything about it. Right? That's not a sales process. Right? That's taking a handful of flyers and being like, I don't have time for this, and just throwing it up into the wind and hoping that somebody picks it up off the ground. Right? It's a total waste of the money that you spent to put that data into the system. So what we have always preached, and this is just, look, everyone is going to have to go this direction. Everyone. Like, anybody that tells you that, oh, yeah, if you need more leads, just look, I have a great data guy, buy the data, skip trace it, send out more volume, you'll get more leads. Like stiff arm. Because all they're trying to do is make money on the back end. What they should be telling you to do is send less volume and work those leads. Right? Put them through an actual sales process so that you can get ROI on the other side. So what we've always preached, and if you go into launch control, if any of you are familiar with it, you can only send batches in increments of 50, 100, or 150. And the reason that we did that is because if you send out a batch of 100, you're probably going to get about 18 to 22 responses. Some of those are going to be nonsense. Some of those are going to be like, who is it? Well, not who is this, but, FOP, DNC me, whatever. You're going to have to filter through some of those. Some of them are very much engageable conversations. So I'll give you an example of one that people just let go and they never should. All right. So you send them the initial message and they immediately write back, yeah, sure, but I want 400K. And that house is not worth anywhere near, right? Most people go, yeah, well, the offer's too high, and they walk away, right? Or the number's too high and they walk away. That's crazy. What you have to do is read behind that, right? What happened is the people that Eric was talking about, I think he called them abusers. These people got abused. They're sick of it. They got a million text messages, they got a million calls, and they were like, look, buddy, you got 400K, I'll take it. Otherwise, no, right? So you just have to break through that. So what we do on our managed services side, if somebody sends that message, call them immediately, right? Because you can get straight into expectations that way. And if we call them and we can get them to loosen up and actually talk about their situation, you can go through the discovery details, you can find out their motivation, you can find out their timeline, you can find out what's going on with the house. You're in it, you're fact finding, right? But if you just let that go and went, oh, this isn't worth it, that number's too high, you lost a very valuable lead, right? And I have the best customer success team in the business. And they're trained to go through and audit with you guys. Like once you start sending out batches, they'll go in, they'll audit, and they'll tell you like, that's a lead. In SMS engagement, that's a lead. And our answer is not usually to if it's anywhere near a hot lead, our answer is going to be call them, put them onto Eric's system, right? Like you got their attention, you opened up the conversation, call them. And if it's something that is, for instance, someone says, look, I'm not ready to sell yet, maybe 6-8 months down the line. Okay, now what most people do in that situation when they have launch control is they use our drip automation feature, which is half the right approach. Okay, so the drip automation feature, one of the ways that you can use it is so that it is sending, say, like once a month, it's sending a message that's trying to find a different angle to get them to converse, so you can get them on the phone call to really find out like what their real timeline is for selling that house, right? And you're staying present so that if it's all being put into the same thread, right? So if my phone's probably not going to show up, but you see it on your phone, it's showing up in the same thread. So it's a consistent form of communication with them. So when they are ready to sell, 8 months down the line, a conversation you started 8 months ago closes in whatever 8 months is from now, right? But the step that often gets missed is someone says, I'm not ready to sell for 6-8 months. As a wholesaler, you got go ahead and post it below. Like, what question would you have if you had them on the phone? What question would you ask them? I'll go ahead and answer. Why not now? Right?
Yeah.
Why not now? So are you going to let that go just because you opened the conversation with a text? Like if your technique through your sales funnel system would be to say, okay, well, like, what is it that is making you think it would be that you should wait? Like, what benefit are you hoping to see on the other side of that? That's not how you phrase it, but you know what I mean? Like, to get to that point, like, why not now? Well, why not call? Right? Like, you have their attention, they're giving you an answer about their timeline, and you have questions about that. Like, why not? Why not move that to a call and say, hey, it's Michael. I just got back to my office, was just texting you. Wanted to see, and then jump into the conversation. Follow Eric's system, but at the point that you were able to jump in, right? So it's to get the future of text messaging, and what Launch Control has always preached is personalization and a hyper focus on the inbox, those active conversations. And the point of the inbox isn't to see how many text messages you can send them. The point of the inbox is to get to the point of discovery, to get the qualification needed to see if this is a good deal for you. Because if you really think about it, like Eric's approach of kind of put them on edge by saying, like, well, we'll see if this is actually a good fit for us or not. That's just true with every deal, right? You're not going to make an offer with every homeowner that you get on the phone. At some point, it has to fit your buy box, right? It has to fit what you're looking to do. And so if you can use the system from the inbox to really vet these calls and get people on calls and push the system, you're winning. If you go in and you just, like I said, like in that old model, dying out, well on its way down the drain model of just text blasting and essentially like throwing your money into a wood chipper because you're just hoping for the one deal to fall to the floor, like you're not going to find success that way, and at least not past the couple of deals a month stage. But if you want to use SMS to fill up your pipeline and consistently bring in deals and be able to get to that Eric Klein stage of, are we at 800 or 900 closable leads in the pipeline this week? Like, to get to those kind of numbers, like that is it's a compound thing, right? So you have to be able to go, especially as you solo entrepreneurs, you have to be able to turn around, go deal with a homeowner, work with David on contracting, and turn back around and have your pipeline just as full, right? Like, you can't have a pipeline drop to zero. You have to have a system that every time you're ready to close another deal, you're just grabbing cookies out of the jar, and not shaking the jar like, oh shit, how'd this thing get empty, right? And so all the things that you do in marketing, SMS, if you make enough money to get into direct mail pieces or to get into PPC and have that combination form of marketing, all of it, and I can't preach this enough, all of it is in service of the sales system. All of it rolls up to exactly what Eric's talking about. Do that, your marketing will crush it for you and will be absolutely foundational to everything you do in your business.
Awesome.
All right. Appreciate you, Mike B. I was actually talking to my partner, Tony, about Launch Control. And he said he has heard like literally nothing but amazing things about it. His exact words were actually this: I heard they're the best out there. So Tony will actually be reaching out to you. Full transparency to everyone on here. We don't use launch control, but after today, Tony's going to be reaching out to launch control to get us set up with it. And I'm super excited. He knew all about you guys. So
Awesome.
Going into the next guy, David Olds. So I've only been in this, again, I've only been in this, the whole wholesaling arena for just over 2 years. And I've been to a decent amount of events. I've spoke at a decent amount of events. And there's very few individuals that I care to even stay in touch with, to be brutally honest with you. And this man just so happens to be one of the very, very few. Every time we get to meet up, we go to dinner. He treats my family like family. My son loves this motherfucker. And he is probably one of the most well-versed individuals that I know within this space. He's kind of done it all. And I was honored when he came to me and actually asked for help to train his team. He was actually the first individual that came to me when I uploaded all of my sales training into a platform. He was the first person to buy it. And I am forever grateful for David Olds. Not only does he help me, he helps our entire team. He actually has an amazing, amazing company that is Easy REI Closings. Now, we are 100% in-house. So we do everything internally here, but we leverage our Easy REI Closings when we have a difficult deal. My wife is forever grateful when we get to use his company. So he has streamlined the whole back end of being able to deal with the client, deal with titling issues, deal with the closings, dealing with all the shit that actually takes you away from getting contracts. So it's very time consuming and cumbersome, but more importantly, he's a friend of mine, and he's somebody that has probably forgotten more about real estate than I even know. So for everyone on here, David Olds, he is the absolute man.
Well, thank you, man. And let me just tell you all a story about the last time I had to follow Eric Klein. It was a little bit brutal. Dude's on stage in fucking Milwaukee, 3 standing ovations, and they could barely get him off the stage. And they're like, and David Olds, he's going to talk about transactions. And I'm like, well, fuck, this is going to be an real fucking battle. So, no, my friend, I love you guys, love all of you, Tony and Shyla and Kai, everybody. So, listen, let's turn some fucking cameras on. I'm not as outgoing as Eric, and I'm going to do my very best here. Let's talk a little bit about sales and getting these deals over the line. Like, let's talk about getting paid. You've got your projected revenue. Now let's talk about actualizing that revenue. Okay, so like, pay attention. I'm going to go really fast here. So get your pens and papers out. Let's go. So let's just talk about the first thing here. Michael was just alluding to it. I've given long talks on what we call the wholesaling cycle of death, and this was what I experienced as a solopreneur in the very beginning, right? Like, here's our life, here's your life. I know, because I've been doing this for 20 years through a bunch of market cycles. We start out, we're doing a bunch of marketing, we're excited, we're focused on that, whether it's bandit signs or cold calling or texting or whatever it is you're doing, right? You're out there, you're doing that marketing, you start to get calls, you're like, yes, this is fucking working. And, I'm taking calls, right? And I'm talking to sellers, and now I'm going out on appointments, and I'm locking up that deal, and I got 2 or 3 contracts, and I'm like, fucking order the jet, baby. We're going to be rich, right? Well, now I shift hats and I go into dispositions marketing, right? And now I'm figuring out how to send out emails. I'm putting out little bandit signs that say 4-bedroom, 2-bath must sell today, right? Whatever it is, whatever type of marketing you're doing, you're talking to buyers, you're negotiating, you're getting contracts signed, you're collecting EMD. Now you got to work this thing through the title company, and you do all of that, and you've gone all the way around the circle, and you're like, shit, I let my marketing stop. And now it's like, now you're like pushing this rock back up the hill again. So I just wanted to briefly touch on that because it's so important, what Michael was talking about, making sure that marketing is automated and your pipeline is staying full all of the time. You know, and the way that we just did it, and this wasn't what I intended to talk about, but you know, the first thing we did was we split our company into two halves, an acquisition side and a disposition side. Acquisitions, their only job is getting contracts. That's it. Get a contract, give it to disposition, go get another fucking contract. Dispo, your only deal is selling deals, right? Your only job is selling deals. So that one, you know, shift alone will help you if you guys are working with partners or you've got somebody competent on your team, is to split those responsibilities. But anyways, I just want to mention that real quick. So let's talk about marketing a little bit, right? The fundamentals of marketing are going to be pretty much the same no matter what we're doing, right? And I like to break it down into the four things. This is very simple, but if you understand these principles, you can apply it all the way across your business, right? Number one, and this goes back to when I was first starting in 2002, sitting in REI meetings with 400 people, someone would get up on stage and they were talking about direct mail. And you're going to see how this relates to us here in just a second, right? So direct mail, they would say, hey, you know, do not send those number 10 envelopes out that you run through your printer and it's, you know, Bob Jones, and it just looks like it's going to be just some type of business crap spam mail. What would we do instead? What did they teach us? Well, go out and get those colored envelopes, right? Red, yellow, purple, pink, whatever it is. Handwrite them, handwrite your return address, put a live stamp on it. Why? The first step in marketing is getting your stuff opened, right? So, you know, that was a foundational thing that we had to learn. Why does that relate to today? If you're not sending direct mail, you're like, who fucking cares? Well, I'll tell you why it matters. Because if you're sending a text message or you're sending an email or you're making posts on Facebook, what is the first step? Getting somebody to open your stuff, right? You got to get that text message open. You've got to get that email open. You've got to get somebody to open up that, you know, your Facebook post and see what it is that you're talking about, right? So the first step is getting it opened, right? You got to be creative. I can't tell you at 51 years old how big a fucking part emojis are in my life. It's embarrassing, right? But when you're looking at text messages, when you're looking at emails, and I have 10,000 unread emails in my inbox, you know, something has to make it stand out, right? Subject line, go into ChatGPT, tell it to give you engaging subject lines that have clickbait that will make up, you know, the reader want to open that email, right? If you got an email that says, hey, I buried the dragon underneath the doghouse in the back, you got to check out this house. Right? That's copywriting. That's going to make you want to open that fucking email. I promise you. If y'all got that email today, you are opening that shit. Step one, right? Let's get it open. Step two, right? I'm going to go quick here. Engaging content, right? When somebody opens your email or goes to your website, or, you know, they're on Craigslist or Facebook or whatever it is we're going to talk about here in a minute, you got to give them all the information. I promise you, they've done studies, Harvard's done studies. When somebody leaves your email or your website to go look for information, 50% of them are never coming back, right? Squirrel, you know, we're watching, you know, panda videos or penguin videos or some shit like that, right? So you got to be giving people all of the information. We're talking about sales and dispositions here, right? Imagine, here's the rule of thumb that we talk about in our office. If somebody's on their couch in California looking at my deal in Alabama, can I give them all the information they need to make a buying decision? Yes or no? Go back and look at your last 3 emails or your last 3 properties on the website. Can they do that? Okay. And at the very end, there's got to be a call to action. You got to tell people what to do next. They're fucking dopey. Everybody's busy, right? You got to tell buyers, one, how they're going to make money, and you got to get them to either call you, email, or text you, right? There's got to be some call to action there. So I used to always say 3 things, but here's the 4th thing that I've never included in here. We're going to talk about today because I usually put it someplace else, but you got to be a real person. Eric brought this up earlier. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. Do not be that faceless fucking company that has a Facebook page that does not have a real picture of anybody. And, you know, they want to, for some reason, hide who the owner is. And I don't know, man. I don't understand why people do that. Maybe they're ashamed of what they're doing. I don't know. You know, we're wholesalers. We're here to help people, help sellers, help buyers. But I will tell you, you know, if you go to our Facebook page, Nationwide Property Liquidators, You know, we've been running it for years and years and years. Our biggest posts are shit like birthday parties in the office where everybody's singing for somebody, right? That's engagement. People want to do business with people they know, like, and trust. So I'm not going to beat that into the ground, but those are the four, you know, kind of fundamentals of marketing, right? You got to get open. You got to have engaging content that explains to people how they're going to use your product. In this case, we're talking about selling property. So how are they going to make money? There's got to be a call to action. You got to tell people what to do, you know, and, you know, you got to be a real person, right? People like that. If you're sending out an email, you know, what I used to do in the old days is I would have little stories about my English bulldogs, and God darn it, if I wouldn't go see people and they'd be like, hey man, how's Dudley the Hound doing? I'm like, well, man, my English bulldog is doing really good. Still snoring a lot and drooling, right? So that makes you relatable to people. Both Michael and Eric talked about that. You've got to be able to build rapport. So anything that you can do in this communication is certainly going to help you. So get open, engage in content, call to action, be a real person. I've been doing this for 20 years. I'm not telling you to say that I'm anything special. I'm probably just too fucking stupid to have quit, but I've done a lot of wholesale deals, well over 1,500. We've done a bunch of this. And what I've seen through a couple of different market cycles is anybody who started in the last 2 to 3 years is basically fucking lazy. Right? If you started in the last 2 years, you came into the hottest market that's existed since 2006. And literally, I used to see emails that would say, this is a good deal, buy it. Like, I shit you not. Like, they didn't care what the front picture was. At one time, I saw a picture. It was, you know, they had a bunch of pictures, but they picked the wrong one to be the main picture. It was a fucking rusty shed that said, this is a good deal, buy it. I've got a screenshot of it someplace. You can't do that anymore. Those days are over, right? The frenzy that we had going on is done. It's not coming back, right? You're gonna have to provide information for buyers. And I know I've only got about 10, 12 minutes here, so I can't go super deep with you, but you know, when you're putting this material out, you know, you are a salesperson. This is a sales and marketing job. Look at what you're putting out and sending to people. Is all the information there? Is it accurate? Right? Do you have pictures included? Do you have comps included? Are you telling your buyer how they can make money? Make sure all of that stuff is there. We cannot be lazy, right? Our obligation as wholesalers to sellers is to solve problems. Buyers have issues too. Our deal is we're here to, I keep saying deal. Our job is we're here to supply them with their next deal. People are not going to buy if you're not giving them enough information. And ultimately, you know, one of the greatest sayings that I had an early mentor teach me is play all of your aces. And I know my friend Johnny knows that, right? Your job to play all of your aces. What is that? What does that mean? My job is I've got to get my property or my deal out in front of as many people as possible. Where do I need to go where buyers are going to see my deal? So if I'm working here in Chattanooga and I've got a deal, I'm going to put bandit signs out at Home Depot, Lowe's, and Ace, right? I'm going to put them out on high traffic roads. You know, where should I be posting my deal, right? We all understand the 80-20 rule. 20% of your work is going to give you 80% of the results. I am not going to make a TikTok dance video about my property. No, where am I going to go? I'm going to go put it on Facebook where business is done, right? And if you're young, you could say whatever you want about Facebook, but you know, it's where people my age who have money are going and buying these properties. So get your deal out in front of people. That should always be, you know, these things are, you know, kind of more guiding principles that you should always be thinking. Have I gotten my deal in front of every single person who might want to buy it in this area? How do I do that? All right. So get your pens out. We're going to go through real quick. Top 10 ways to sell your deal, because we don't have a ton of time. I know we're coming up towards the end. And I want to give you guys enough time to ask some questions. So one, you got to have some kind of a website. Doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be Investor Lift. It can be, you know, your own Wix site, or I'm not the technology guy. So I don't know, whatever basic website you want, right? But you got to have some place to send people. It's awesome if you can have a squeeze page there where you can collect their information. But again, make sure that you are giving all of the information. Go to my website, nationwidepropertyliquidators.com. You can look through some of our ads. It will show you what these things should look like. Here's how we approach dispositions and why we've been so successful for the last 15 years or whatever it is that we've been doing this. We approach dispositions exactly like most people approach acquisitions. We are very aggressive in that we are going to leave no fucking stone unturned. We are going to play all of our aces, right? We don't do shit that doesn't matter, right? I don't have somebody in a sandwich board down on the side of the road saying, hey, I've got this deal in Indianapolis and we're in Tennessee, right? Could it work? Yeah, it could work, but I only have time to do the shit that matters because we're a high volume wholesale company. So we're making sure that our website is right. We send out SMS. We love launch, right? We're sending text messages to our buyers. Why? Because maybe, you know, my guy's working or whatever, who knows, people have lives and they don't get this email. They may not get this email for a week. I don't know, man. People have lives, right? I've got 10,000 unread emails in my email box, but I can tell you what, I do look at every single text message, right? May not answer it, right? What'd you say? 91% of text messages are read. That's
98.
98.
Yeah.
That's a fucking incredible number, dude. If you call my voicemail, it says, please text me. Literally right now, if you call my phone, it says, please text me. I don't answer unless I've got you stored in my phone, right? So SMS, we do RVMs. I know that's a squirrely thing across the country. Some states love it, some states don't, but we have a pretty good response rate from RVMs. We will send out emails to our buyers list. You should always be building a buyers list, right? Lots of ways to do that. You can be posting continuously, hey, I've got off-market deals. You know, you can be posting individual properties, you know, so there's kind of general posts and then more property specific posts. But let's just talk a little bit about SMS and RVMs for just a second. The posts that we're putting on, you know, it's basically the same thing, right? One's text, one's is just someone's listening to a recording. RVMs are ringless voicemails. It's that voice message that just drops right into your phone. Some people love them, some people hate them, you know, do what your heart desires. But you want to be giving just enough information really to get somebody to call you, right? We're not reading War and Peace on these things. We're not trying to send 5,000 characters in text messages. It's basically, hey, Michael, or well, if you're going to do it, you know, a name insert thing, but hey, I've got this great deal over in Highland Park, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, tons of equity, needs a little bit of work, give me a call. That's it, right? Same thing for the RVM. I do not want to be saying stuff like, hey, I've got a purple house on the red hill with a blue door. All right. I don't want to be giving so much information that I have people self-select out. Right. Oh, geez, if it was a black door, I'd buy it, not a blue door. Right. Just trying to give you an example because I want everybody to call in. I want to talk to as many people as possible. All right. Why? Because I want to find out what their criteria is and get them into my buyers list if they're not already there. Same thing with email. I'm pushing them to call me. So, you know, if I haven't spoke to them or if I haven't spoke to them recently, I can update their criteria. We use some VAs in our company. We are posting constantly. Some of you are probably here because one of our VAs posted in a group across the country. We are posting in investor groups nonstop. Now, if I've got a deal, again, in Cincinnati, I'm not posting it in LA, right? We're only posting in that area. We're not trying to spam the world. We're not posting in Facebook marketplace groups. That's nonsense. You're just going to get burned up all day with people clicking that little I'm interested button. If you want to be busy, do that. If you want to be productive, you know, just post in groups with actual investors. You will get everybody. And here's the last thing I'm going to tell you, and all of you are going to laugh, except the old guys, is we post in Craigslist. We sell one deal a month off of Craigslist. Guaranteed, at least one deal a month. Why? Because who are you guys selling to? You're selling to 40 and 50-year-old people, sometimes older, 60, 70-year-old, right? Where did people my age at 51 go to get a deal? Facebook's only been around since 2009 and really didn't reach adoption until 2012, 2013, right? We went to Craigslist, right? So we have our VAs posting to Craigslist, right? So that's 6 things. Hopefully you wrote them down. Website, SMS, RVM, email, social media, Craigslist. All of that is done within an hour to 2 hours of this property being launched, property being released to the public. Why? We are trying to fucking shock and awe a market, right? I want everybody to see this thing, right? We're not dripping this shit out. Oh, let's try putting it on the website. Oh, I didn't get any calls. Maybe I should post it on Facebook. 3 days later, I don't get anything. Well, maybe Craigslist. No, we're doing everything all at once. Why? All of those things, if you look at them, they're all meant to drive calls in. They're very low impact, easy things for us to do that drive calls in. Our goal is to have the fucking phones melt when we send out a property on either Monday or Wednesday. Those are the only 2 days we release properties. I don't want my dispo person to be able to get up and take a piss because I want that phone ringing so much, right? That is the goal, right? Think of it like a grand opening for a store, right? It's on radio, there's billboards, there's signs, there's banners out front. That is our goal, right? You want to get your shit sold, you want to sell a lot of deals like I do, and my boy Dispo Daddy, this is what we are doing. We are leaving no fucking stone unturned. If that doesn't sell our deal, now we're cold calling our buyers, right? Hey, Bob, just wanted to see if you were still looking for, properties in this area, right? We're cold calling. We will put out bandit signs around our properties if we need to. We'll go, 20 bandit signs around that are going to have an arrow that's going to drive people in. We'll also talk to agents, and we love sending direct mail. So if you do those 10 things, 80% of your deals will sell, unless you locked up a piece of shit. And then sometimes you need to go back and renegotiate those. So make sure you got these written down. Website, SMS, RVM, email, social media, Craigslist, cold calling, bandit signs, talking to local agents. You can list it on the flat fee MLS if you want. I don't do that. Other people do. Eric's company has great success with that. Everybody runs their business just a little bit different. And direct mail. That was a lot of stuff. Did everybody get that?
A lot of great information, though.
Love it.
Oh, somebody was actually taking notes here. Andre, good
job. Damn, Andre,
there it is.
getting it.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll go ahead and start some of these questions. So why do we only post on Mondays and Wednesdays? Great question. Here's why. With a full Dispo team, no matter how much faith and love I have in them, if I send an email out on Friday afternoon and I start getting calls all over the course of the weekend, they're out on a boat drinking beer. They are not going to answer that call, no matter how many times they tell me they are going to do it, right? So Mondays, Wednesdays, that's it. That gives me, if I send it out on Monday, that gives me all week to evaluate the response. And then on Friday, we're having a conversation and saying, hey, how was your response this week? Are we going to sell it? Are we not? What's our feedback? Do we need to do a price reduction? If we do, Monday, it goes back out as a brand new property. Also, thank you for triggering that. We do not ever do price reductions. Why do we not send it out as a price reduction? Because we're telling our buyers that we fucked something up, right? We fucked it up or nobody else wanted it. The first thing your buyers are going to think of is, geez, why didn't anybody else want this deal? Don't do that. Change your front picture, change up your subject line, change up your text a little bit, send it out as a new email. Why do you change the subject line? So it doesn't, some email systems just drop it back in beneath the other one. If they didn't see the first one, they're not going to see the second one. Also, we don't send price reduced because maybe they just missed the first email. Maybe we just didn't get in front of the right person, right? Even posting on Facebook, we do that every day. We post on Craigslist, we delete the old one, post the new one. It's still, all of our marketing is just a moment in time. And we got to make sure that we are capturing as many of those as we can and getting in front of our buyers. So put it on the website. Yeah, within 1 hour of it being signed, if you are local and you're getting pictures immediately, yeah, that's fine. Get it on the website, use launch control, perfect, RVM. Depending upon the state, awesome. Always send emails, good emails, update their criteria, post and group. Yeah, cool. Good. That's what I got. Any other questions on that? Okay, let's open it up to kind of questions across the board. You've got really 3 super experienced people. So if you're not doing 10 or 15 deals a month, you should have some fucking questions. Let's hear it. If you're not doing 10 or 15 deals a month and you get off this call and didn't ask any questions, I don't know, man. It's gonna be hard to feel sorry for you, right? One thing that we do in our company, when I take anybody from our team out to a conference, we are focused. We go there with what are 2 or 3 problems in our company that needs to be solved at this event, and we find somebody. So unless you guys have got your marketing, your sales, your dispo all lined up, somebody must have some questions here. What do we got? All right, Percy. How are you, man? How do you structure commission deals for multiple dispo agents? I've talked about this a million times. Lots of ways you can structure your commission. For me, I've got them on a blended system of $2,000 a month and a percentage of the assignment fee that escalates the more they sell for the month, but starts at 5%. I don't know if Eric wants to talk about what he does or if he knows. I might have to get Tony for that one.
Say it again. What was the question?
What's your sale? Fuck. What is your structure for commissions for I guess acquisitions and dispo? You could talk about both.
Yep. So our structure for acquisitions is we do a base salary of $26,000 a year.
Mhm.
And then they get in their first, every month is a new month. So the first 50,000 that funds in a month, we give them 8%. And then if as soon as they go over 50 by a penny, they get 9% for the entire month. And then every month starts over.
Yep.
We got a guy here, Otis. He's been with us now 4 months. He's just in his 4th month. And this month, he is funding $196,000 himself.
He's gonna have almost $20,000 check. That's a pretty good day.
Yeah. The only reason I know the exact amount, I just went over it yesterday with another group. And then for Dispo, I believe they start out at 31 or 32,000 base. And then we give them, it's either 1.5 or 2 points on the gross volume of the assignment fee.
Nice. All right. A couple questions here. Any advice to a one-man team working? I'm assuming one market strategy, don't have the funding for marketing for off-market deals. Well, I mean, funding isn't your issue, man. I mean, here's the thing. You've either got time or money. Real talk.
Yep.
If you don't have money, you should have a fuck ton of time, because what are you doing with your time, right? Dude, I've been there. I've lived this life, right? Or, you're blessed enough to have some money. You may not have some time. So you've got one of those things to commit to your business, right? When I started, I had no money, man. Like dude, there were months we had ramen noodles and I was trying to decide if we were keeping DirecTV on or I was sending out postcards, right? Like that's the real shit. So, if you don't have money, get in the car, man. You're driving for dollars. If you don't have a car, borrow one. If you don't have a car, get on a bike. If you don't have a bike, start fucking walking, right? How committed are you to doing this business?
Yeah.
You got to be fucking unstoppable. People ask us, how were we successful? Man, we went for 2 years. We put out 100 bandit signs minimum every Friday night for 2 years. Anybody here ever put out 100 bandit signs? It's a lot of fucking work. I'm here to tell you. And, every Friday. So sometimes we started at 9, sometimes we started at 11. If my kids had a play or our favorite movie was out, that's fucking fine. If it was raining, snowing, we went out and put that shit out. We started at 1 in the morning sometimes, but we did not miss.
Yep.
We were fucking missed. Right.
Yeah.
So, and this is just in general, I'm not directing this at anybody, but how bad do you want it? Go drive for dollars, man. My wife, I would drive for dollars. I would come home and she would handwrite yellow letters. That woman has written tens of thousands of handwritten yellow letters. She's figured out how to make copies of yellow letters and do all kinds of creative things. Put out bandit signs, right? Go door knocking. Lots of ways that you can, at a very low price, generate leads. You want to generate on-market leads. I like Privy personally. It's pretty fucking amazing, to be honest with you. If you want to be in the on-market business, you can do that. I will tell you, it comes with its own set of challenges because you're dealing with agents. So that's what I've got.
Yeah. I would just say, like I agree with all of that. A lot of it's going to come from the driving for dollars, hustling thing. It's also taking some of the things that the bigger shops are doing and really doing it in a personal way. So I have one of our top affiliates, she does handwritten notes all the time. Like she has a way of mass kind of producing them. So she's not actually like handwriting them, but it started off that way. And they crush. They do really, really well because it's this personalized nature that goes with it. But as you're in that like early hustle phase, also, like I said earlier, everything is in service of the pipeline. Right? Like you want to get the pipeline, more and more full so that you can have consistency in your deal flow. So like what we always tell people at launch is like, if you don't have enough money yet to commit to 90 days, save up until you do. Like hit those other efforts until you do. Because if you stay in it for 90 days, that's how long it's going to take to really get not only a pipeline full, but those early discovery calls that are going to lead to those early negotiations and offers, lead to deals, and then you close a deal and you just funded your marketing off of one deal for 6 months, 8 months more, right? but you have to set yourself up for success and give yourself in any channel that you're going after. You have to give yourself enough of a window of time for that channel, for that pipeline to fill up and do what it was intended to do, and so that you can keep it full. So don't rush to the next step, right? Like if you don't have the money yet to go into PPC where it's just going to end up flooding you and the costs are going to get way too high, don't do it yet, right? Like stay with the things that fit within your marketing budget and still work for you. Same thing for direct mail pieces. Like those get crazy expensive. So if you aren't ready yet financially to do that, don't jump too soon. Instead, pour your effort into those lower cost, driving for dollars, texting kind of efforts that will give you breathing room so that you're not spending everything. You're spending a portion of going towards marketing, and everything else is, again, in service of the sales funnel.
100%. Guys, here's the reality. And I know Eric and everybody else would say the same thing that's in this business. If I lost everything today, if an asteroid came down and hit simultaneously Bank of America and Regions at the same time and wiped us out and took my team and took my business, took everything, I would get in my car with a pad of paper. I would drive around. I would find a deal today. Today, there's a deal. Every one of you can get up off your chair and go out and find a deal. I guarantee it. Because here's how I'll tell you, if your life depended on it or the life of somebody you love, your kid, your wife, your mother, they said they held a gun to somebody's head, and I know that sounds terrible. You will find a deal today or somebody's done, you'll go find it. So now it's just a matter of you just don't have the fucking motivation to go do it.
Yep. Couldn't agree more.
I mean, shit. I'm here to tell you, man, you said that about my dog, I'd go find a deal today, right? I love them more than anybody. But the reality is deals are out there. Unless you live in a town of 200 fucking people, go to the next biggest town, find an area, go find a house that's boarded up, talk to the neighbors, talk to somebody, find who owns that house and make a deal. You can find a deal today. That's how you get off that kind of that cycle of death, right? You get a little bit of money coming in so you can dedicate it to some marketing and stuff. So you can JV with us. JV with NPL.com. What did you use? Miguel, that's my URL, but that's Investor Lift. Message me if you want some information about Investor Lift. I have a question
Chris
about
Cruz is asking, this is my own opinion. I'm going to give you my own opinion on this.
Yeah.
Should I be looking for buyers while trying to also lock a deal up? And I'm assuming you've never done a deal. The answer is you don't have a deal to sell to a buyer until you have a contract. So I would worry about getting a deal under contract, then go find a buyer. Worry about one problem at a time.
Yeah, make sure it's a good deal. And you got to have some plan to do some marketing or find somebody in your market that can help JV that. But yeah, go focus on a deal. I have a question about Dispo right now. I currently have a buyer for me, but I'm looking for more buyers. I launched a Dispo website using Lift. Awesome. And I have a guy calling cash buyer leads. Is there more ways to find buyers? Yeah, we just listed out 10 ways to find buyers. That's my sheet here. Yeah, website, again, SMS, RVM, email, social media. Social media, you can build a lot of buyers, right? All right, real quick for whoever's paying attention, open up any Facebook group, investor group on Facebook, right? Any of them, go into the search tab, type @gmail.com, hit enter. It's going to give you every post where somebody dropped their email. Why do we do Gmail? Because it's the most common. Scroll through there. I built a 5,000 person buyers list out of Atlanta doing that. Plenty of buyers out there for you to buy or to find. Decent buyers, talked about that. Are your sales reps virtual? I think that was for you, Eric, before. Are your sales reps virtual or in person? Okay. I know all of Eric's people are in office. Mine are in office too. Michael, I don't know what you see primarily from your clients or if you know. I'm just an old school guy. I like everybody coming into the office. I like that we're all around the campfire. We have that energy in the office, that kind of collective hive mentality of, we're all there when, to celebrate each other's wins.
Yep.
I think it's tough to work virtual in this business. Obviously people do it, right?
So I train a lot of people's teams, and the number one trend that I see is the virtual model typically fails. And this is why. I believe if you don't know how to, if you've never built and scaled a team in-house, I don't know how the hell you're going to do it virtually.
That's
So
tough.
like I personally, I see so many people, they'll go and hire. I don't know if there's VAs on here. I have a shit ton of VAs working for me, but as far as cold callers, we use cold callers, but our closers are in-house. Like to go and pay a closer $3 an hour and $100 a deal in some other country. I mean, at the end of the day, you need that person to have their pulse on the United States. You need to know what's going on here. You need to know the lingo. You need use them for cold calling. Yes. But to hire closers, I believe it's going to be an uphill battle for most people.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, go ahead, Dave.
No, well, so many people think that, I'm just going to hire a VA or I'm going to hire somebody else and they're just going to know how to do this. And I can just kind of set it and forget it and never talk to them and never train them. And I just think that's just a big fallacy that gets perpetrated in our industry. So sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we have a managed services division and that is done virtually, but that is based off of a sales funnel system like the one that Eric is discussing. So it's a combination of SMS engagement best practices with overseen by real estate investment pros that are showing them how to work through a sales pipeline. And even in that case, we don't take it to close, we take it to discovery. So we'll hand over full details about timeline, motivation, maybe deliver some alternatives, but that's it. At some point, it has to be handed off to that team for them to close the deal. And having your closers in-house, in my opinion, I think that having a connection to the local community and understanding that local community, just mindset, as well as just from a geographical standpoint, a real understanding of neighborhoods and where that house is positioned and what that means. You can't do that from afar, right? So there has to be a handle.
Yeah, and just so we're all clear, like all of us use VAs in our business, right? All of my postings, the social media stuff, the emails, the website build out, all done with a VA. What I'm talking about is actual salespeople in the office, right? Like there is such a great place. VAs are amazing. There are some things that they're terrible at. You do not want to try to use them for transaction coordinating, but for some of this other stuff, they're absolutely phenomenal. Besides paying for skip tracing, how would you find phone numbers when driving for dollars? Man, there are a ton of, I use People Finder.
Fast people search.
Yeah, or I use peoplefinders.com. I think it's $29 a month, right? And literally I can look up like 50 numbers a month. So True People Search. Yeah, there's lots of sources out there. For acquisition, what is the best way to track KPIs for your reps? Eric, that's a you question.
I mean, one, have a CRM or a phone system that can track it. Yeah.
And, and if you're just starting, a couple of you guys I know are at the very beginning stages. When I started, I had an Excel spreadsheet.
Yep.
That was it, right? Like do something. Do not say, I can't start this business. Guys, I've coached so many people around the country. And I can't, in the old days, it would be, I can't start because I don't have a website. I don't have business cards. Nobody gives a shit. Do not let something hold you back. What have we talked about all night? Be fucking unstoppable. If this is what you want to do, go do it. Find a way. I've texted so many people out of my cell phone. In the early days, that was my SMS platform, right? And when people would call me, I would store them in. Oh, buyer for Rawlings Street or whatever it is, right? Do not let not having a lot of money hold you back. Hiring a lead manager first and staying on acquisitions, or replace myself and hire acquisitions. But this person, well. Let me tell you. Okay, so great. So hire a lead manager first and stay on. No, I mean you have to replace yourself at some point, right? Like once you understand the job, then you're going to need to hire the next person underneath you. My hiring philosophy is, and I'll let these guys talk about theirs because they both hire people, is I want to bring one person in and pour into them and let them build, give them more responsibility until they're honestly at the point of busting. Then we pop it off. I hire another person and let the first person train them. And then we keep growing that way, right? You don't want to hire a bunch of people too quickly because payroll's expensive. That's the kind of stuff that'll crush your business. I don't know if either of you guys want to touch on that. Michael? No.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that one of the things, this is a hiring principle that I don't care if you're using this in corporate America or you're using it at the entrepreneur level, but you hire people that are better than you at certain things, so they can take care of those things to free you up to do the things that you're really good at, right? So if you're really good with the homeowners and getting to that point of like, you can pick it up, you can set expectations, get them to trust you, get to the offer stage. If that's what you're good at, then the more of your time that you can spend on those activities, the more money your business is going to make. So you need to offload the things that maybe like CRM management, which again, I can echo what David said 100%. All that means is a contact record management system, right? So it doesn't matter if it's in a spreadsheet. The point is that you are paying attention to who you're calling. You have a follow-up system, you have notes, you have the all of the information you need to close a deal, so you're not burning through very expensive data, right? So if you can hire someone to really, as their zone of genius is in that, you want to hire for things that people that are really good at things that you don't like doing, don't have the time to do, don't want to do.
And that's exactly where we started at the very beginning of this. If you're going to scale, you cannot do it all, right? The one thing that we specifically, concentrate in is we handle transactions for investors all across the country. None of you guys got into this business to learn what title work problems are and how to solve them, right? That's something you should be outsourcing. I know we have a bunch of clients on the call here today, but yeah, that's 30% of your time that's just going to feel like you're walking through quicksand on the beach. If you're doing 2 to 3 deals a month, we should be talking, because I'll show you how we'll do your transactions for free. Okay, let's keep moving here, because I know there's still a bunch of questions. You guys are doing great on the questions. Thank you so much. I do appreciate that. We love answering questions. Should you be fine? We talked about that. Who should be the first hire? To get into those, I'll let Eric answer that. Who should be the first hire to get to the mid to high 6-figure months, and how many people should be there on the team? And when scaling, how do you make sure you as a CEO are taking home your well-deserved cut? I'll take a shot at that.
Yeah. I mean, our first hires were acquisitions.
Yeah.
That was ours. My partner took over Dispo. So I would look at whoever who asked the question, what are you better at? Like, if you're good at acquisitions, stay in acquisitions. I can say I've been in this business for just over 2 years, and I've never dispoed a deal. I stay in my lane in our office. Like, I know what I'm good at and I stick to it. I built the sales team, I've scaled the sales team, and we lock up a shit ton of contracts. Tony went and handled Dispo. My wife handled transactions. Like, we all stay in our lane. But to answer your question, I would hire, if you're good at acquisitions, keep locking deals up.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Hire a Dispo.
Yeah, I don't know how to make it more complicated than that. If you're a solo person, well, then you need to learn, you're going to have to just learn both sides, right? And that's okay. Listen, them guys have one of the best partnerships I've ever seen. I, however, have been through 4 really horrific partnerships that have ended so terribly. If you guys ever want to get me drunk, it's very entertaining to listen to. So, I'm at the point where it's for me, it's cheaper to hire in an expert than to give away 50% of my company. So, if it's just me and I'm just starting out again, I know that I have to learn acquisitions and Dispo, and you got to be proficient, right? This goes back to what we talked about before, what Michael said. You can't just bring somebody off the street and say, hey, good luck. Go sell these deals, right? You got to be able to train people. You got to understand what the fuck's going on in your company, right? So if you're lucky enough to have a good partner that, is in alignment with you, and you both can split the business, great. And then you add in people underneath that.
Yep.
Tips for getting on-market deals. I'm not the on-market deal guy. I posted on my YouTube channel, an interview with the owner of Privy, and they really specialize in that. So, I would direct you to that. Anybody want to jump? One of you guys want to jump in? What formula do I know? What formula do I use to know I have a killer deal? Eric, you give yours, and then I'll give you mine.
Yep. So we use in all of our markets still the same formula we've always used. We never even changed it when the market shifted. So anything, we're in North Carolina, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, and Ohio. So anything in a major market or an hour outside, if it's over $200,000, we do times 0.8 with the ARV minus repairs equals your sell at. Anything under 200 grand, we do times 0.75 minus repairs gives you your sell at. Sell at to an investor. So obviously you got to deduct your assignment fee from that number. If we are in a rural area, we do, no matter what the ARV is, we do times 0.75. So that's one way we lock a deal up. And if that's the only way you're locking a deal up, you're missing a ton of deals. We will lock a deal up off the 1% rule. What is the rent rate? If we can lock the deal up cheap enough to be able to get the buyer of that deal all in. So if rents are $1,300, if we can get the buyer in that deal all in for $130,000, we just got to back out all the numbers. What will they have to put in for rehab? What can we lock it up at to where we can get that buyer all in at 1,300? We lock deals up like that all day long. We also lock deals up, and if I'm confusing some people, I'm sorry, but we also lock deals up off of being the cheapest thing in the area by 20 to 40 grand. We leverage the flat fee MLS to move a lot of our deals. So it's been a strategy that we have implemented within the last, I would say, 4 months, and it has been a game changer for us, a game changer. So Go ahead, Dave.
No, that's it. So what I've done for a long time is this, the second part of what he's done. When we are locking up a deal in acquisitions, our underwriter, the person who's taking a second look, and that could maybe you in certain cases, we will look at what cash sales are in the neighborhood. So my conversation with Mrs. Smith is, hey, this might be the thing you want to write down. Just spoiler alert. Hey, Mrs. Smith, let me look at what houses like yours in your neighborhood are selling for. Why? Because that knocks out all the nonsense of a house down the road from me just sold for 400,000, right? Because I want to look at houses like yours in your neighborhood. So if yours is 1970, we're not going to comp a 2010 property, right? If yours is 800 square foot, we're not going to comp a 1,500 square foot property. But when I hear that, right, fantastic. What's the address of that one? Maybe I missed it. Oh, Mrs. Smith, that's 2010. You're 1980, right? You guys understand how that works? Mrs. Smith, let me take a look at what houses like yours in your neighborhood are selling for. But I want to look at what cash buyers are paying for apples and apples type houses. If cash buyers are paying 100,000, I know if I lock it up at 80, I'm in for a $20,000 assignment fee. It's very simple. You just got to make sure we're talking about apples and apples. Miguel, I dropped my Instagram. You could shoot me a message. I'll be happy to get you investor lift information. I agree with hiring. Do you recommend hiring closers local to the market we are in? No, we do everything. We do everything virtual. I know Eric does too, and probably most of Michael's clients.
We are 100% virtual.
Yeah.
I went over the number of how many deals we've done, but out of all those deals, I think I've went to 2 to 3 houses just because. Like I wanted to actually say I've walked through a house and I've tried closing a deal. I prefer not to go to these houses.
Yeah.
And then industry average, how many leads would need to be generated for 5 to 8 deals a month with one acquisitions? Great freaking question. Now it does depend on your sales ability. That's a very broad, what one person can do, one might not be able to do. I'm going to give you the baseline for our office and what I was told coming into this industry. And I believe you get the wrong information, you get wrong results. So when I first came into this industry, I actually went to somebody for help just to get a baseline on KPIs. And I was told for cold call leads, you should be 50 to 60 leads to a contract. And for PPC, it should be 15 to 20. Well, our KPIs in our office, we do 32 cold call leads to a contract, and we do 10 PPC leads to a contract.
Yeah, so it's going to depend on the quality of the lead source, right? It will take more of some than others to get a deal.
And I'll throw everyone a little nugget here on how we operate our business. So we operate our business off of absentee owner data, period. We do not pull any other data. And people are probably wondering, well, aren't you going to run out of absentee owner data? No, because wholesaling, the United States is our backyard. That's the beautiful thing about it, because we virtually wholesale. So the criteria that we pull, just so everyone knows, we do absentee owner data. We keep our home values under 300 grand. We keep the equity 20 to 100%. And we exclude LLC and trustee owned properties. That is literally our business model. And this is why I believe that is the best low-hanging fruit. We take that data and we send it out to a cold call company. They send us back a lead. Why do I think that's probably one of the best leads you could possibly get? They spent 3 to 5 minutes with a cold call company that called them out of the blue. That in itself is motivation to me, because I've never spent 3 to 5 minutes with a cold call company before, ever in my fucking life. I've never done it, because they didn't have anything that I wanted. So for somebody to stick with that phone call, that in itself says they were interested in something somebody called them out of the blue about, and that was selling their home. 2, I know the owner doesn't live in the house. 3, 9 times out of 10, they have a tenant in that house on a month-to-month lease paying under market rent. So, I mean, right off the bat, we're talking like 4 or 5 pain points that I already know about that homeowner that they didn't know. Like, I know what you've been through in order to get to me. And then they have 20 to 100% equity in the house. Those are all really good things to know about a lead before you ever get on the phone with them. So that's how we run our model.
Cool. Andrew, as a CEO, how do you make sure you personally get a good profit with a fairly large team? I mean, you want to build it slow. You want to make sure that you're profitable as you grow. You know, do not come out of the gate and just go hire 10 people if you don't have a proven process and the ability to fucking get deals closed and cash checks. You know, not everybody needs to be or wants to be scaled up to a 30-person team. I'm going to tell you, I've talked to some of the longest term wholesalers that there are. A lot of people will scale up and then they'll reverse and scale back down. So you have to find your comfort level. When I was a solo person, I could make up 50, 60, 70 grand, shut my business down, go to Europe for a month, come back, turn my marketing back on and get to it. Right. When you have a big company, I'm going to tell you, Eric understands this. Michael does. Like, now I'm responsible for, 16 or 17, whatever our count is, people in my office, right? Like, I'm responsible to make sure the machine is working and we've got deals coming in or that we're generating revenue because, people have wives, husbands, dogs, mortgages, car payments, right? Like, so, just be sure as you scale up that you're remaining profitable all the way. Do not just, don't start spending crazy money unless you've got deep pockets. Be careful with credit card debt. We talked about industry average. Software that we use to comp. There's a couple of good ones, right? Depending upon the state. PropStream is good. CRS Data is really good. It's probably one of the better ones. Privy is great. How many leads do you skip tracing a month? If anybody can answer that.
Pick a. So we do. Well, actually, we haven't bought data probably in the last 6 months just because we bought so much damn data over the last 2 years. So we're just constantly beating the shit. I always say that's why I carry a bat. We beat the shit out of these leads. But if you're just getting started, buy 1,000 leads and skip trace them and beat the shit out of them.
Yeah, man.
Buy 500 leads.
Go fucking work them. The people that you skip trace and you don't get a result back, send them a handwritten postcard, handwritten letter, right? Like, squeeze the juice out of that lead. Thank you guys. We're going to wrap it up here because my wife's out of town. I got to go home and let 2 English bulldogs out of their bed and go outside. So,
David, do you mind if I answer a quick question? I'll take 2 minutes max.
No. We're good. We're
Is that
good.
cool? All right. So, guys, we had an early question right at the top, off the top, about TCPA regulations and shifting industry. Okay, so I'm just gonna clear this up for everybody really quick. Over the last 3 or 4 years, nothing has changed as far as TCPA guidelines or regulations. Nothing outside of the state of Utah. What gets confused with TCPA regulations is the campaign registry, which is a collective between all of the carriers, AT&T and Sprint, et cetera, to get people to register for what they very kind of dramatically called 10 DLC. 10 DLC just means 10-digit long code, or in other words, every phone number that exists anywhere in the universe, area code plus phone number, right? So all that they're trying to do is create a portal that simultaneously registers your business with all of them. Because what they're trying to do, like I said, the industry is growing up, right? So all they're trying to do is weed out the big picture spammers, and or the big time spammers. So when I say that, I mean like people offering auto warranty renewals, and they're sending text messages to 600,000 to 6 million people. They're just blasting, right? They need to get those off of the table. So they wanted a way to legitimize people coming in. Real estate investment flies so far under the radar that it's not really something that even registers. But you do have to go through the particular hoops that they want to get registered with them. So I want everybody to understand that there's a very, very big distinction between TCPA, which is government regulations, and the campaign registry, which is big business. That is just something that the carriers insist that people do in order to engage in SMS marketing. And the truth is, I love it. I think it's a great thing because it does weed out all of those bad actor, big time spammers. And in order to get your business registered to text, and this is going to be the case for every platform anyway, right? You're going to have your business set up. You're going to have an EIN number, and you're going to have to register that business with the carriers. That's it. Again, this is not a carriers in the government kind of thing. This is a portal that unites all of the carriers so that you don't have to register with AT&T and register with Sprint and register with Verizon and have it be like an admin mess, right? So where you can take advantage of this is in the stuff that David was talking about, right? Like you've got a Facebook page, you've got your own web page, no matter how kind of rudimentary it is, and always have that lead capture functionality. Because one, if somebody goes to your website or your Facebook group that you set up and they're saying, yeah, text me more information, that's a super hot lead, right? Like somebody's coming to you with property that they want to get rid of and they're saying, help me. So obviously you want to help them, but it also puts up that level of professionalism that the industry is trending towards. It doesn't mean that you can't prospect. It just means that the whole industry is trending away from mass spamming or text blasting, like I said, and getting into a much more targeted, focused, personal nature of texting that, like I said, funnels into that sales funnel, like Eric was talking about. So I'm gonna post something from our YouTube channel below, and this is just for anybody that wants to get registered. This will kind of walk you through how you can do that, setting up for a Facebook page or your own website to make sure that you've got that validation for texting. But it's also just a good idea in general because it's lead capture, and lead capture is part of the sales funnel. So you might as well just not kill 2 birds with 1 stone and get that done.
Cool. So guys, make sure you click on that, either open it up in another window, because once we shut this down in a minute, it'll be gone. So make sure you copy that. So guys, thank you so much. Michael, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
I posted it in here. You guys can ping us on the Instagram channel, which is Launch Control Text, or you can just email me, and it's just michael@launchcontrol.us.
Awesome. Well, guys, we appreciate Michael coming on and just, selflessly just giving a bunch of time and energy to help. Our goal here was just to try to help move the industry forward. And my friend, as always, Eric Klein, he is, you'd never think he's too humble, but he would not tell you that he's got an amazing fucking mastermind coming up that he's going to be doing in his office in a couple of weeks. I'm trying to score myself an invite to that. It's pretty rough, but I think he's got a couple spots left. So at the Eric Klein, right, is your Instagram. Make sure
Yep.
At the Eric Klein, I posted it here. You guys should be following him as well as Launch Control. Eric posts some amazing stuff. Don't be afraid to follow his partner too. He's the most cantankerous fucking dispositions person that exists on earth. But I fucking love listening to him. Cracks me up, Tony Monteblano. If I was ever to recommend somebody else to help you learn to sell deals, he is the only person on earth I would recommend. So I have so much respect for both of those guys. But they're running an awesome event that's coming up. And guys, I am telling you, they are the future leaders of our industry. So you want to be tapped into them just as absolute quick as you can. And if you want to reach out to me, mine is at David Olds, REI. Give me a follow, shoot me a message. I still answer all my own messages somehow. I may not get them quick, but I will definitely answer. Thank you for all of you who hung out here till the end. The people at the end here, you are the people that are going to take action and go out and get shit done, because you're the people that don't fucking quit 2/3 of the way through. So I thank all of you for that. Any final words? Anybody want to turn their mic off and say anything? If not, we're going to wrap this thing up in about 60 seconds.
Cool.
Johnny, I know you got something to say, my brother. Johnny, take it off. Take it off. Don't make me call your wife.
Thank you guys for, like I said, the golden nuggets. I definitely appreciate the value that you guys just added to the group. Thank you again.
Right on.
Johnny Dance, I love that name, man. I'm gonna use that as an alias.
You know what I told him? I couldn't even say this in a public thing, but I'm like, that is would be the greatest porn star name ever.
As he says it in public.
I know, right? I'm like, half the people are gone now, or 2/3 are gone now. So his wife was sitting there. So
Cool.
Johnny's a great guy out of North Carolina. So if you guys got some deals over there and you need some help, he's certainly a great resource. So, all right, guys, thank you so much to all of you that hung out. I appreciate it. It means a lot to all of us that you would give up part of your afternoon. And I hope that you got some good stuff. Make sure you follow everybody, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank
All
you.
right, thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone.